We have these conferences during the year with our great organization to have you understand what's at stake in the area of human trafficking. We've got some dynamic speakers for you today. You know, I think of the saying that we all talk about frequently, because we can't rely on the silenced to tell us that they are suffering. That's why we're with you today. We've got advocates, survivors, experts, and I'm going to get this ball rolling. Who am I? Well, I'm Blanquita Cullum, and I'll be the moderator. I'm the president of Voices Against Trafficking and a charter member, but allow me to introduce you to Andi Buerger. Andi Buerger, JD, is the founder and the chair of Voices Against Trafficking, our nonprofit organization dedicated to the eradication of human trafficking. You know, our brave founder is very special because she understands more than most the plight of the victims, as she is a survivor of human trafficking. Get this, from the age of 6 months to 17 years of age. She is a passionate advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves. She compiled our new book called Voices Against Trafficking, The Strength of Many Voices Speaking as One. And we're very proud that it's now in the Library of Congress. And she also has her life story that is called A Fragile Thread of Hope, One Survivor's Quest to Rescue. Both books are available on Amazon.com. We hope that you'll get them. I'm telling you, they are must reads and you can't put them down. So Andi, let me introduce you to the audience and tell us more what you have to share with us. Andi Buerger, our chairman and founder of Voices Against Trafficking. And, you know, I'm going to tell you right up front, we are, you know, since we are Zoom, of course, little funny things happen. So we can't hear Andi right now, but you're going to hear as she's speaking. Andi, can we get your volume so that we won't miss one word of what you have to say?
All right, I think we have that handled now. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, BQ. And yes, we have an amazing program. But what I want to do is let everyone who may be first timers to our quarterly events know what exactly Voices Against Trafficking is. We're a network of networks. We're kind of like the hub of a wheel. So in the hub, you know, you have the strongest part, and then of course each spoke, which is you, me, other organizations, nonprofits, every spoke that joins makes our wheel stronger in the fight against human trafficking. And we want to win against 21st century slavery. So together, many voices speaking as one is going to help get the job done. So today, I want to thank everyone who has joined us. We are so grateful to all of our partners, our members, the media that help promote us. And I'm going to pass it back to you and introduce our first speaker.
Wonderful. And, you know, you're going to love our first speaker, by the way, because he's a brand new charter member. And he is the host of a program called Next Steps Forward. He's also the founder of a group called Soldier Strong. He is informative, he's uplifting. His program is every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Network. And he has been so positive in supporting us in Voices Against Trafficking. As I mentioned, he's a co-founder and chairman of a great group called Soldier Strong. Let me tell you about this organization because it really supports U.S. service members and veterans. He launched also Reach Strong. That's an online resource containing articles, videos, focused on fostering and supporting mental health and emotional well-being to serve as a really wonderful resource for brain health information. It's getting a lot of positive response. He has a brand new book, and I have it here, is right in front of me. I'm showing it to you right now. It's so great. Next Steps Forward. I've read it. It's terrific. It's a story of service and sacrifice, trial and resilience, of war and coming home. And it will enlighten you to understand what our military faces mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And it also helps those American warriors to better understand themselves. So it is a great honor to have you meet our good friend, Chris Meek.
Okay, so BQ, it seems like Chris is having just a bit of a technical issue. Fabulous introduction, and we may have to bring him back in after one of the other speakers. So I think we should just go ahead and move right on.
And let me do that. And we'll come back to our great Chris.
Yep.
And we want to thank also NTD and the Epic Times, who've been such great supporters to us on this program and giving us a lot of positive promotion. You know, a very dear friend of mine has been like a charter member from the very beginning. And she's so fabulous because as we're seeing this real explosion of human trafficking happen, in particular in our border area, well, we want you to know Alma Tucker. Alma Tucker is the founder of the International Network of Hearts, a nonprofit with safe houses and on the border between California and Mexico, and particularly San Diego and Tijuana. Alma was a former investigative officer for the Child Protection Unit for the Mexican Consulate General in San Diego, did a fantastic job there. And she's been invited to speak all over the place, from the White House. She recently spoke in Texas and in Mexico for the Texas Border Coalition. She has a profound and unique insight on what's going on in the border with the people trying to come across and those who are victims. She has been assisting and advocating for human trafficking victims longer than almost anybody I know. And I have to tell this one thing about you, Alma, before I introduce you, is that you and Andi Buerger were on a terrific program hosted by Cindy Drakir, who does The Nation Speaks, and that's with the Epic Times at NTD. It was on March 12th, that episode. And for the audience, we're so thrilled that you can see it. You can see it on the Epic Times site. Go to Roku or go to YouTube. But now, without further ado, you got to meet one of our superstars. We're delighted to have Alma Tucker. Alma.
Thank you, Blanquita. Thank you for that amazing introduction. And also, I would like to thank you for inviting me to speak in this platform. It is a privilege to discuss such an important subject with so many people committed to fight against human trafficking. As we gather together in this event, I want to bring up what is happening at the border. And I would like to raise awareness of the major struggles in the US border has been experiencing as the worst border crisis this country has seen in the last 20 years. Until September of last year, the administration of President Biden had more than 1.6 million people detained, with that being the highest figure record in the United States since 2000. As March of this year, US authorities reported more than 158,000 detainees of migrants in the southern border in just 1 month, 10,000 more than in January. In the first quarter of 2022, juvenile migrants arrests have significantly increased of March, totally 11,000, and a figure never recorded. This number shows the most significant percent increase in the last 4 years. Of the 11.2 thousand juvenile arrests and detainments, a little more than half, 54%, are children between 0 and 11 years old. An increase of 71% compared for the last year, and population very vulnerable to being a human trafficking. Border is graphed, as you see it in this graph. This year, 2022 has seen the most encounter at our southern border, figured at 240,000 encounters for the month of May alone. Customs and Border Patrol has warned that this number will only increase should these open border policies continue. With the largest increase at our southern border in migrant crossing into the United States, this also has been a significant increase in organized crime, like a human trafficking and forced begging. These criminals prey on migrants and accompany children to human trafficking, violence, extortion, sexual assault, and child exploitation. A very sad example, recent discovery of the trailer found in San Antonio, Texas, the last at least 51 people dead due to the heat, calling this a horrific human tragedy caused by organized crime. We would like to share our condolences to the families affected by this horrible tragedy. We also have our sister organization, Red Binacional de Corazones, operating in the southern border between San Diego and Tijuana. This is the same region home to tens of thousands of migrants, including accompanied minors. Unfortunately, with policy in the United States constantly changing, these groups are put in a very difficult position, again, making them extremely vulnerable to trafficking and organized crime. As these criminal networks are aware of this situational opportunity, and they continue to recruiting and force participation in Black market activities and trafficking. While announcing a temporarily open border policy may seem like a good idea, in hindsight is not. And so far has not been kind to the vulnerable population looking to cross over the US to escape their turmoil. We have seen firsthand just how dangerous the open border is for individuals on both sides, but especially for accompanied children. One difficult story is of a boy from another migrant shelter who was forced to watch while his mother was trafficked for sex, resulting in such a mental trauma that he has to receive inpatient psychiatric care before being released to our care. This is just one of the many stories I could tell of the borderlands and the danger that exists due to the current perception of an open border. There are also major social, health, and economic issues as well. Businesses in the area have been forced to close. The lack of sanitation is causing major health problems and safety issues, even outside of trafficking and cartel activities. Innocent families and individuals are coming seeking for promise of the United States, all while organized crime and cartels are preying over the vulnerable population, knowing just how desperate their situation is. This discussion is critical to helping and supporting the victims of these horrible and traumatic crimes like human trafficking. Our organization, International Network of Heart, aims to do just that. To further this discussion, INH has partnered with the Department of Justice to be a part of Amber Alert training in August 4, 2022, to commemorate the World Day Against Human Trafficking that lands every year on July 30. INH is hosting a press conference before the training, inviting law enforcement and activists from both sides of the border to hear their challenges and what has to be done in this subject and in this area. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Remember, we are all in this fight together, and together we can make the difference. Thank you so much.
And Alma, you are making a difference every day, my darling friend. We're so proud of your hard work. God bless you for that. You're just the best. You know, we try to bring you people that are very different, that are doing things that are like Alma, making a difference. But many of you like to use apps on the internet, but you haven't heard of an app like this one. We're very excited to introduce you to a new guest on our forum, Gina Jernukian, because she is the founder of Soul Survivor, Inc. It's a national nonprofit organization. It helps survivors of human trafficking begin their lives anew by providing access to necessary resources along their very difficult journey to healing. But let me tell you how. She removes tattoos and other physical reminders of their painful past. Soul Survivor, Inc. advocates on their behalf as they become the extraordinary individuals that they were designed to be. Gina is a permanent makeup and paramedical artist trained in removing tattoos. And what she did is she discovered that some of the tattoos on the victims were actual brandings. You know, we've seen what's happening with Ghislaine Maxwell being convicted and a lot of these other perps, you know, these perverted people that have hurt people. Well, she's encountered a lot of people that have been really violated. and having brandings. Soul Survivor Inc. has affiliates in 43 cities, and she has developed a great new app called Step. And I'm going to let Gina tell you all about it. And we're delighted to have you, Gina. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the platform. And we all need this. I think that when we all work together, we can get so much further into this fight of human trafficking. But you said it all. I mean, I started off doing permanent makeup and then learned the removal process about 9 years ago. And it wasn't but a couple weeks into it, I start getting these strange tattoos and just odd areas. And they were saying odd things like money bags, things like that. So long story short, I figured out after I'd asked a few friends that they were brandings. I had no idea that that existed. It's actually an American thing. And so we are now up to about 1,000 plus a year of either removing or covering up. Often the survivors come in with burns or other scars. We had someone with a swastika on her forehead. And so we have estheticians as well throughout the country that just really help remove this reminder. You look in the mirror and they see this all the time. Well, with that, working with so many of these women, we do have boys and men too, but for the majority, it's women, get to know them and they start opening up, and how they escaped. And because we always have those questions, the general public has no idea that it's not easy at all to leave a situation like that they're in. And they just start saying that, when they had a moment of clarity and they were ready to run, or they had that opportunity to leave, they didn't know where to go. They had no idea who to call or what to do. And so, in speaking with them, we decided to create an app called Step, and that stands for Survivors Together Elevating People. And it is a nationwide app. We literally just launched not long ago. So we're in phase 1, which is enrolling organizations. We need all the organizations that work, hands-on to enroll into the app. So then we can go to phase 2, which is distributed it to the people that need it. But it is incredible. It's your location service is usually turned on for the most part. Their location services are always turned on so they can be tracked. They can click on the United States, let's say Colorado, Denver, and then a bunch of resources will come up, whether that's pregnancy, STD screenings, transportation, counselor, advocates, lawyers, anything that they may need, because often they just need a shower and food to get them through the next day. And we just feel that if we love them and they know that we're here, then eventually when they can leave, they can click on transportation or rescue or safe home or whatever it is, and they will find a resource within a 100-mile radius from where they're at. So that's what we've been up to, and it's been phenomenal. And also what's really kind of cool is out of the 6 admin that we have on Step, 3 are survivors. So we're now able to give them jobs, because you all work with them and you're in this industry. They don't know what to do when they leave. They can go to a program for 6 months or a year. Then what? Then what do they do? And so this gives them that cushion, gives them some money, and they're giving back in a positive way until they figure out what they want to do.
Well, it sounds wonderful. We're so honored to have you on board. And so when they go to the app, all they have to do is go to Step, S-T-E-P, and download it.
It's step.how. So Step is the name of the app, but to get to it's actually a web base. We didn't want Apple because then that kind of stays in your phone, and these girls don't want apps like that in their phone. They're traffickers. They monitor their phones. And so it's called step.how, H-O-W. And that is for organizations to sign up, organizations to find resources, and also where the victim or the person that needs the resource will go as well.
Well, we are very honored to have you on board. Thank you for your creativity
Thank
and for
you.
giving that dignity back to those young people that need to have that kind of reinforce their journey in a positive way.
Yes.
And we have another great speaker that we're going to introduce you to that we have not really met before. And he was brought to us by our liaison, Eric Karen. And a lot is going on in Africa. We're so honored to be joined here by Douglas Kabagambe, who is a customs enforcement officer with over 12 years intensive on-the-ground experience in Uganda. He serves as in charge strategic intelligence and analysis And like I say, he is working hard on the human rights front, but he also has an interesting sideline too that I have to share it, Douglas, because I think it's cool too. He also investigates and curbs the illegal wildlife trade with his other organization, the Uganda Revenue Authority. Basically, this just exemplifies his desire to see equality from all aspects of life, every element, every fiber, and he begins with trying to stop the incredible evil of human trafficking. And so, Douglas, we're delighted to welcome you, Douglas Kabogambe.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here. My name is Douglas Kabogambe, like I've been introduced. You know, it's actually 9:20 p.m. I try to find a place in my house that has adequate light because it's dark. So I hope I'm, visible enough. Last month, I met Eric Curran, the retired FBI agent, who introduced me to Voices Against Trafficking. I was actually really interested and I felt touched by the stories that he shared. He talked about Andi too. And he said that he would give me 5 minutes to speak about the experience in Uganda. Uganda is a country located in Africa, specifically in East Africa, and has been faced with the child trafficking, both child and actually human trafficking, not children alone. And it's been very visible because what has been happening is that the easiest form of trafficking has been deception. Because these are women, especially women, who are promised, lucrative jobs, especially in the Middle East. That is Kuwait, Qatar. So it's not actually outright smuggling, but deception. The girls leave the country willing because they've promised them, higher salaries, better lives that will, change them and their families. Because Uganda is a third world country. So once you get, with high levels of unemployment, so once someone comes with promises of better employment abroad, all these girls are very deceptive. They accept and they're taken to the Middle East. And in the Middle East, there are all forms of abuses from labor exploitation, sexual abuse, and now the most recent, we've seen stories of organ extraction. Because they've been taking out their organs, they've been taking out their livers. I shared some very touching videos with Eric. It's extremely scary. And I mean, someone left here with hope of getting a better life in the Middle East, but they come back almost half dead. So it's been quite unfortunate. And every single day, I thought in a later time, I will share a video. I told Eric that I'll be at the airport and I'll take a video of the girls leaving. They're very excited and it's a bunch. When you come to the immigration, it's a whole group of girls, more than 1,000 girls who are really excited, have never been on a plane. It's the first time on a plane. You just see, people looking for better life, but they don't know what they're heading to. And unfortunately, even after seeing all these experiences of the girls that have been abused, organs taken out, sexually abused, they are still going. So the syndicate has mastered the art of deception. I mean, recently we were chatting with one girl and she said, but everyone has their luck. When you try to share about these bad experiences, they just tell you that was bad luck. Maybe mine would be better. They proceed. I'll just quickly take you through the statistics from our police force. In the year 2021, there were 1,149 cases of human trafficking that were registered. And I'll just want, because this has affected the female sex the more. So I'll just share the numbers so you could compare male and female. Now, of those 1,149, 692 are females, adult females, 300, and then 190 were males, adult males, And then the female juveniles, very unfortunate, were 182. And then the male juveniles were 85. That was year 2021, January. And then if we break it down in the terms of, the trafficking, out of the 1,149, 1,103 were related to labor, the exploitation I just talked about in the Middle East. And then the sexual exploitation were only 70. And then unfortunately, there were females that were forced into what they call child marriage. 33 females were forced into child marriage. And then also, unfortunately, in Africa, there is the rituals, those that are sacrificed for riches, because there's certain religions that believe, tribes that believe in rituals. For instance, if you sacrifice your child, you'll be richer. Very unfortunate. 5 were sacrificed. And then there's what they call debt bondage. It is just one person. And when you compare with the number with 2020, there was a huge reduction, because last year in 2020, there was 6,600 cases. 6,666 cases. Yes, it's quite unfortunate. And the deception is, it's a technique. Every criminal syndicate has a particular technique. And what I've seen, the technique that has been mastered by the syndicate that is trafficking people out of Uganda is a technique of deception. Like, for example, if I was, I'm a customs officer all these years, if someone came to me with a better offer and says, if you went to Mexico, maybe you'll make 10 times as much as you're making. Everyone is human. Everyone can think about it and say, but why don't I go to Mexico and I see what it has to offer? Or maybe the United States of America, because everyone believes there is a better opportunity. So these guys have said, instead of us using false passports or false documentation, let us do it in quotations legally. But we lie to the girls because they be that they are willing. And it's been very unfortunate. And one of the things, that went through my mind, because we have representation in those countries in the Middle East. Uganda has representations. Nothing has been done. We have seen all these videos, we've seen all this abuse, but no one has stood up to speak for the girls that have been abused. The country hasn't even been brought accountable. Those specific countries you talked about, Jordan, Kuwait, UAE, we have representation there. And all this, it's in the media, it's on social media. No one has come up to say or to help any of the girls. And it's been ongoing. So I was really, really happy when Eric, said, you just come and add your voice and maybe it could make a difference. Thank you very much for listening. And I'm very glad to be here.
Well, we're really glad that you joined us, Douglas. There is another human rights conference going on with the Lantos Foundation. And so many people are so surprised to hear that this organ harvesting is happening in Uganda. They know about it in China. And one of the things that, that is so shocking is that, we think that people who are in their 30s and their 40s are still young, but when it comes to the human trafficking and organ harvesting, they're old. And they're looking at 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds and teenagers and even younger than that. So what you're doing is really powerful and extremely important. When we're very proud to know you, and please stay in touch with us. Please don't go away. We're very proud of brave people like you. And we have another very good guy who has been a charter member of our organization from day one. I call him Q. He calls me BQ. I'm talking about Jeff Queen. Jeff Queen is a retired law enforcement officer. He has worked on security and situational awareness. That's his expertise. He is a retired deputy sheriff. He manages a globally connected group of law enforcement, military, and security experts, and he consults with law enforcement in the private sector and all these various security issues. And I am happy to bring forward our good friend and a great guy, Jeff Queen.
Thanks, BQ. As always, I am thrilled to be here. Love to be a part of this. I appreciate very much you bringing me into this back years ago when I didn't really even know what human trafficking was, and how pervasive it is, and you know, doing the research just shocked me, and so I'm thrilled to be a part of this and see where Voices Against Trafficking is going. The last time I was here, we talked about situational awareness and recognizing, you know, when your child may be getting groomed. And this time I want to speak more, not so much to the behaviors of the traffickers, but I want to talk about parental situational awareness. I can't tell you the number of people who say to me, my gosh, I found out XYZ was happening, or my kids were watching this, or, you know, whatever it is. And the parents are just shocked. And so I want to emphasize, number one, that protecting your kids, parents, begins with you, you know, and that may sound really simplistic to say. Sure, you don't want them playing in the street, you know, you want them to be careful, you know, doing things that they're doing, but you have to know everything that they're doing. And today's technology makes it easy for kids to be involved in things that the parents just have no idea what's going on out there. And so the first thing that I would say to parents is to know what the culture is around your kids. You know, what is the hot trend? What's the app that's going on? You know, what's happening on TikTok? What websites are they going to? What's the lingo? You know, when you hear them say something, what does that mean? You know, these are all little red flags that need to be popping up. And to protect your kids, you know, we used to talk about stranger danger, right? And somebody that, you know, looks out of place, somebody's coming up that your kids don't know. Technology makes stranger danger obsolete. You know, technology makes it so that somebody who shouldn't be there looks like they fit in. And it's easy for them to get to your kids and talk to your kids and create these alleged relationships. And so you can't, as a parent, you can no longer judge by that appearance of that strange person who looks out of place, you know, because these guys are experts at blending in. They know exactly how you know, having a little. My dad came in and said, well, you know, I pay the bills here, so I'm going to come on in and see what's going on here, you know. And so, you know, parents have to continue to have that mindset with their kids. You know, if you buy them a phone, then you need to know what's on that phone. And you need to be, you know, maintaining the permissions there so that you can see how they have the ability to talk to people. What are they posting online? Who's talking to them? What are all these things that strangers to you can make a connection with your kids? One of the other things that is so important is how you see other people that relate to your kids. And so you see people, because of this, you can call it the age of enlightenment or whatever you want to refer it to, but we're all trying to be community engaged and aware of the things that are going on around us. So who are those people that are trying to bring your kid in to be involved? You know, and what is it exactly that they're getting your kids involved in? You know, and so people that start projecting these things onto your kid, these issues of teamwork and we can do this together. as a parent, you need to know when those boundaries, those lines are being crossed, and we're stumbling into an area of what's appropriate versus inappropriate. And you need to work on, as a parent, skills that help you read people. How to, I do this, for a living. I've been doing it for a long time. I read people instantaneously. And so parents need to develop that mindset, that awareness, because you have to trust your instincts. And so when something seems hinky to you, it's hinky, no matter what anybody else says, what they think. If it's hinky to you, then you need to step in and get some more information, find out what's going on. Who are these people? What are they doing? What are they talking about? So you have to be involved, because, sincerity is one of those things. I can project sincerity, but what is my face saying? What's the tone of my voice saying? What are my actions leading up to that? And so as a parent, you need to be aware of those things and bring them in for a sit down with your kids and kind of see what's going on. One other thing is that people that have a lot of details that are talking to your kids, they got a long story, they got a lot going on. Those kind of things are designed to confuse you. They make you sort of look at one other aspect rather than where you need to be. So you need to be aware of people who come in with a long story to tell and a lot of details and a lot of things going on and a lot of moving parts, where your kids are concerned, because kids generally are too young to understand all of those different moving parts and things. And they don't have that ability to have that situational awareness. But one of the things that you can do is to play some little games with your kids. You can't give them a list of things to watch out for. So you have to start small and give them some things that they can really grasp a hold of, these concepts that that don't confuse them, don't scare them off, don't make them want to ignore you. So what you can do is you can help them to learn and evaluate their own surroundings. And the way you can do this is, you remember the old games that we played in the car, I Spy, or let's count the license plates. Did we find one from all 50 states? What are these? These are things that help kids improve their observational skills. And when they improve their observational skills, they recognize things. They can learn to read things, situations as well. And they may not be able to articulate why, but they can come to you and say, hey, this bothers me. Can you help me look at this and see why this seems strange to me? And you can help them to hone those skills, and you hone them as well. The two of you talking about them together helps both of you to develop these skills of observation and recognition. So these are just a few little things in this really brief period of time that we've got that can help parents to be involved with their kids, to play some games, have some fun, and create a skill set that can really be vital moving forward.
Well, Q, you're right. And the thing of it is that you said is having them talk to you as well. Mm-hmm. Because I guess one of the things that you reminded me of is the fact that a lot of these predators will say, well, I'm describe themselves, they'll show a picture. It may not be a young woman that they're communicating with or a young guy. It could be an old guy, it could be right. Someone that's, trying to sabotage them. And if they ask them to go out and meet them away from their home because they're going to take them to some concert or do something hip, that's where you have to have the alarm bells go off. But that's really good advice and thank you, Jeff Queen. As always, we appreciate you.
Always glad to be here.
Well, we have a new person that we're bringing on board, and she's been such a great supporter of ours. I'm talking about Cassandra Tyndall. She's the CEO of WOM Media LLC, and she's the producer of a television show called Women's Straight Talk TV. She's a native New Yorker. She's applied her very impressive vision to her skills as a writer, a journalist, a TV producer, and she strategically formed a multimedia communications network directed to women. It provides media-rich content in the form of documentary films, television productions, on-demand videos, and magazine editorial publications. They're distributed all through a variety of global networks, and we're so excited because our very own founder, Andi Buerger, was featured in their magazine, and soon she's going to appear in the Women's Straight Talk television show. Cassandra, we are so anxious to hear what your little creative vision is producing now.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's such an honor and a pleasure to lend my voice to the many voices of women and young adults, males, and other people out there who are being victimized by human trafficking and exploitation. So it's exciting to be here to lend my voice to the subject. And, you know, I've always had a passion to protect and advocate for children. But I think it wasn't until I opened my home in 2008 and brought in a group of abused children. They were abused from a number of things pertaining to physical abuse, mental to emotional abuse. And these children suffered. They suffered severe trauma due to their abusers. So it wasn't until then that I truly understood the magnitude and the damage, just the horrific damage that were in evils, you know, the evil that was being inflicted upon these children. It wasn't until that I realized the damage, okay, and you know, how severe the nature of this issue was. This is just something that I've always had a passion for, to protect, you know, and to care for others. But, you know, there's nothing more shocking and horrifying than to learn of a child who has been raped of their innocence, or even another person's human rights to love, you know, to experience joy and happiness. To have that stolen from them is just, it's very demeaning, you know, and it's horrible to even, you know, to fathom. So, you know, we hear about things in the news all the time, but, you know, it's actually something else to witness. Seeing a young child who can't even lift their head to look into your eyes because they're so depressed and they're so broken by the abusers. It's really hard. It's the most heart-wrenching thing that one can experience. Also, to witness a child, a beautiful angel, laying in a coffin, you know, because they have been just, you know, they have been harmed, they've been hurt by their afflictors. Is something that's really hard. It's really hard to imagine. It's really hard to even witness. So abuse is abuse, okay? And it comes in many shapes, forms, colors, and sizes, but it all cuts the same way. It cuts deep in the soul. So I believe Voices Against Trafficking is an organization that will reach those victims who are in need of help. It's also important that individuals know that, you know, there is help out there. There's resources out there. They're not alone, and, you know, what's happening to them is by no fault of their own. So, you know, they have just been victimized. They've been victimized, they've been abused due to the evil that exists in the hearts of their abusers. Voices Against Trafficking, the organization, is helping to bring more awareness and is prompting more, hopefully, more people to really take a step in the direction of action. You know, more actionable results in the fight against these type of crimes is needed. These criminals need to be held accountable, and, you know, we need to see more real justice taking place in these situations. You know, we simply need more voices to advocate in real situations for real change. So that's mainly, what I see that is necessary. And it's great to be a part of the Voices and a part of this organization. The reason why I'm involved as well is because, I had also a situation where I was seeking a job. They have these advertisements in the newspaper and these job listings. And at the time I was studying at the Fashion Institute of Technology, majoring in fashion design. So I was really, really eager, when I saw this advertisement, it had something to do around fashion. So I was eager to go on this interview. When I got to the office, I approached this gentleman, in this small office, one guy, all right, who said he was a recruiter. So he, instantly told me, he says, yes, well, there's an opportunity for you to go abroad, an opportunity for you to chaperone younger girls who are going into this modeling business, I believe, because it was so long ago. And at the time, I didn't know anything about sex trafficking, human sex trafficking, or anything like that. You just didn't hear about those things then. So, I knew something wasn't right, all right? So I was told, yeah, you can go, leave now. You don't need any money. You don't need any, thing but the clothes on your back. You can just board a plane right now and travel abroad to an unknown destination. Of course, I was not about to do that, okay? But I had to convince him because I didn't know, I knew something was up, something was wrong. But I convinced this guy that I'd be back. I said, listen, I'll be back tomorrow because there's no way that I can leave my family and not let them know that I'm going abroad, especially to an unknown destination. So I was able to get out. I was able to escape, all right? And still, like I said, at that time, had no idea what this was all about. But I just knew something wasn't right. So, it's a situation where we do need more awareness. We do need more actionable steps to be taken. We need more people, to get involved and to bring more awareness to the situation because just like we're speaking of now, today is just so easily accessible, for these criminals to engage our children with the internet and social media and things like that. I mean, during that time, I was in a position where I was basically about to be tricked and trafficked. All right. So it's just that subtle. It's just that subtle little thing. Okay. And, others may even, fortunately, I wasn't, going along with the program, but there's other young adults out there that or just as eager, to get into these industries, these luxurious, fabulous so-called industries, and given an opportunity like that, they may not even think, they may not think twice. And because they're young, maybe they're more trusting and also they're very convincing. All right. So I think it's very important. Okay. And I feel like Voices Against Trafficking is definitely making a difference. And we just need to add more voices, get more Congress people, more people who can really make a difference in this matter to bring justice to the whole situation. So I thank you again.
Well, you're right about that, Cassandra.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating also to hear that link with the fashion industry. Mm-hmm. Continue with your empowering women with your wonderful TV show and all the things that you're doing, because part of the element that hurts us all are the ones who are the victims, they're afraid, and the ones who are afraid to help the victims. It's the fear. So you're very important to us. You know, we have it's so fascinating that you were talking about that fashion link, because we have had a great partnership with Voices Against Trafficking with a really cool woman and someone that you'll want to get to know, Cassandra, and all of you out there, Pamela Prevette. And she is the executive producer of High Tech Moda Fashion Productions. It is the #1 high-tech Moda is rated #1 independent fashion production company during New York City's famous Fashion Week. High Tech Moda partnered with us to display a text help billboard during New Year's Eve right in the heart of Times Square 2021 to give major media awareness to the victims of human trafficking, to the people that may be aware, to empower them to reach out. And we put those phone numbers. And we're so honored and really so thrilled to have Pamela join us with this great relationship that we have now developed. Pamela Prevette, the high-tech moda fashion industry expert and big mogulette. Hi, Pamela. Welcome.
That's funny. So Cassandra, I really apologize that the topic here is very, very serious, but the worst people to bring on, of course, are producers, right? I'm late, couldn't get my audio on, bled right into Cassandra when she was speaking. I apologize, Cassandra. I'd love to meet you when I'm in New York, because we both come from the same industry. So I do apologize. Maddie's like, Pam, turn on your camera. And I'm like, I'm trying. So I went to my phone, plan B. So thank you guys for your support. But you know what, I do want to talk about, the stop human trafficking as a female producer in New York City. And I can't speak to anyone else. I did understudy and with different 5 years in the industry, and I didn't really like what I saw. That's the reason why I decided to go ahead and start High Tech Moda. There's very few female producers in New York City. I have worked, I just didn't like what I saw. I saw strange men backstage. I saw photography going on, videography going on. And even though that's not human trafficking, this is a behavior that feeds into the different industry. When you get a group of young, attractive people, you have predators that come about. One of the things my daughter is a professional New York City model. That's what drew me into production. So one of the things that I was seeing is I'm like, I don't like this. This is very disrespectful and very risky towards women, because I don't know what these guys are doing with these photos. I don't know what they're doing with this film. And another thing is they're not authorized to be backstage. I understand the professionals need to be there, but not necessarily the not. But anytime you work, and I've also worked in the entertainment side as far as reality TV. I want to tell you, models and actors, don't get on a plane just because someone says, I have an opportunity for you here. Check it out. You have a right. You have to know. That's how people are taken into slavery, sex slavery. There's sex slavery, there's forced slavery, there's debt bondage. So you have to be aware of where you're going. And I'm serious about this. That's one thing about High Tech Moda. When we come in, I have internal security, because when you go into an event, the event only is responsible for external security. I have an internal security force, because if someone infiltrates through, I have to be able to take care of my models and my entertainers, because that's what my responsibility is. So what I say to you is know who you're dealing with, know the reputation of the company. As Cassandra was saying, she was being screaming. She was asking to bring people in, to screen them. And for what? I have young women say, oh, well, the photographer said, oh, I'll shoot you for free, and we'll do it for pictures. And he wants me to come over. She wants me to come over at 12 o'clock at night in the hotel room. Really? Can you bring your entourage with you? Well, actually, no, you can't. Well, there you go. Red flag. I'm going to tell you, if you're going to be in this industry, you have to work with reputable people. There's no easy way out. We're not saying bring a lot of money. We're not saying spend a lot of money. We're saying work with reputable people. What are the references? I want to also discuss the trafficking in the industry as far as the fashion industry. Fashion is it's forced labor, human trafficking. So if you have a indulgence for fast fashion, you are feeding into the overseas, Cambodia, the different countries that are not as blessed as we are as in the United States, that you are feeding into a form of human trafficking. So please know that it's well documented. It's not just me saying it, Google it. So that is something you have to do. One of the things of not becoming a victim of self-trafficking is self-awareness. The other gentleman that was talking about, the parents be aware and things like that, God bless you. Obviously, you're someone that truly cares about your children, but there's so many kids that parents don't care. So, and they are the ones that the runaways. They are the ones that the vulnerable ones. So not to say to take away from what he was saying, because he's absolutely correct. But my thing is that the lure of the lights of New York City fashion, and fashion in LA, fashion in Vegas, fashion in Seattle, fashion overseas, all that is a lure many a times. And you have to be aware of who you're dealing with. I always tell my models, I say, listen, I'm okay. I want you to move on. I understand my place in the industry and I'm very happy at where I'm at. But if you decide you want to go to the next level, please come to me and let's discuss it to ensure that it's a credible person. And I will give you my full endorsement because I'll use my resources to make sure it is. I know I'm probably talking too much, but my thing is what I want to do is how we stop human trafficking is education, awareness, volunteer for an organization, donate to organizations like Stop Human Trafficking that are working in this space. I mean, this is just a space that's just not nice. And another thing is don't think it can't happen to you. That's the biggest thing I want to take away from this. I don't want it to happen to you. None of us want to. But Andi didn't think that she would be taken. And look what happened to her. And, and God, she's with us now, thank gosh. But the thing is the reality is it is. Remember, there is trafficking as far as forced labor. Don't forget about that. Debt bondage, sexual, as far as being worked into prostitution. And some of our biggest cities before I go have the heaviest sex trafficking are Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Orlando, which I'm getting ready to go produce in. Don't worry, I have numerous layers of security. Miami and Las Vegas is in the United States. I would say that one thing that we can do is that if you see something that's questionable, don't walk away, say something. Even if it's just saying, do you need help? Are you hungry? Can I help you? It's a responsibility as a human to human to make sure that we are all cared for. And it's a responsibility that we carry as human beings. So I would say to you that the fashion industry is amazing. I love it. It's a lot of work. Nothing comes easy. But the thing is know who you're dealing with. Photographers, videographers, producers, and know where you're going. Just don't get on a plane. Please, 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 please. So I think that's it. Does anybody, and two, real quick, remember, let's not forget reproductive slavery is big. What happens is that many a times the sex traffickers take young women to produce children that they sell for other means when they have the children. So this is a real topic and it's getting pervasive. It's getting real and more real. And I think, let me tell you real quick, I think it didn't, even during this pandemic, that was still a multi-billion-dollar industry, correct? Sex trafficking?
Absolutely. It grew. It grew, Pamela. And the thing of it is, to your point, people are afraid to really deal with it because it's kind of uncomfortable.
Of course it is.
And in your business and in the entertainment business, we see all the images of these young people, scantily clad, looking hip, having multiple partners, having a lifestyle that is, drugs, rock and roll, and sex that's been going on for a long time. It's just now more prevalent because of online social media. So we thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
And we are going to make sure that, and if they're donating, by the way, they can always donate to voicesagainsttrafficking.com.
I have to say one more thing before we go. Do not pose nude models. Do not pose, ever pose nudes, because once you've done that, you have branded yourself. If you did it by mistake one time, never do it again.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Very good advice. And we thank you so much for that.
I apologize for the entry. Sorry, guys.
Oh, don't worry about it, because everybody knows that Zoom conference calls now, they're not perfect. They're just like human beings. We all mess up a little bit, but the message is important. And I want to introduce you to a great lady, because she's another one that has been very innovative, and she started a radio program. Actually, she says her journey started when she went to the FBI Citizens Academy. And she's the host of a program called Law Matters. She said from that experience, she had this, kind of a brilliant idea that if she reached out to the FBI and to the Tucson Police Department, she thought maybe they'd consider her proposal for a radio program, which is typical great talk radio where you open the lines of communication, but different in that the public could not just talk to the host or to a guest, but they could talk to various law enforcement agencies that serve the community. And really what was so spectacular is that the FBI and the law enforcement folks loved it. And so now her program, Law Matters, is very popular and well received. And Sherry Harrison, we're anxious to hear all about it, and welcome to Voices Against Trafficking. But we need your audio, because you need to scoot your little audio button down there.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. I want to thank you for inviting me to begin with. I appreciate you and everything you're doing, and you're right. Human trafficking and sex trafficking is totally out of control globally. We need to have everyone's voice heard, so it's up to us to speak for those who cannot. I'm going to repeat what Eric Bauer stated, as he is the nationally renowned attorney who has been on the front lines fighting sex trafficking in courtrooms across the country for a majority of his career. We're asking everybody to tell everybody you know to be proactive and contact your state legislators, not just your political affiliation, all of them. Ask them to establish state laws that will mirror the federal Trafficking Victims Protection Act. It's important. This will give our local and our state law enforcement the ability to go after these offenders, putting more boots on the ground. So it's not just federal agencies. This would be more than tripling the resources, so we can have laws equally applied from the palace to the White House to the back alleys of every city in the country. Additionally, we need to contact our federal legislators to establish laws that will give them our federal agents the tools and the authority to hack websites of any business they find has probable cause. The more we go after these traffickers, the more places they cannot hide. As of right now, children around the globe can be sex trafficked without even leaving home and are being groomed for that purpose. These bad actors are hiding offshore thinking they're safe from prosecution, and we need to change that. The sex trafficking enterprises need to be stopped at every border and not allowed to slither into the home of the defenseless minors they are abusing. I do host a radio show called Law Matters, and it streams live on our computer on our website, lawmatters1030.org. We give our listeners and law enforcement a voice, and our podcast from previous shows can be found on our website. I tell you this because a few weeks back, I had the FBI on talking about sextortion, how bad actors are soliciting, bullying, threatening, and scaring our youth into providing them with nude photos of themselves. Those photos are then used to exploit the child. Please check it out. It'll give you more of an insight on the battle we have ahead of us. We need parents to understand the dangers and put their children in just by accessing the internet, and especially gaming arenas. Parents need to have a straightforward conversation with their children about what to watch for, what to do if something happens, and to report it to the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. It will take all of us to stand up and speak out for those who cannot. And we need to be proactive in stopping everyone in every place from sex trafficking our youth. If all countries would be proactive, establish laws that have no leniency, and create special task force to go after these people, we can let sex traffickers know what it's like to be imprisoned against your will. Tune in to Law Matters. We've got all kinds of topics we talk about, and I appreciate you letting me talk to you this morning.
Well, we're excited about it. You know, I think about Angelina Jolie has had a zillion tattoos, as we've talked to our wonderful tattoo expert up there. She's so great. But she has one tattoo that I really love, and it's on the back of her neck. And you know what it says?
Now, what does it say?
Know your rights.
Yeah.
Know your rights. And we thank you so much for joining us and making sure that we check out Sherry's program, Law Matters. We have a couple of more people that are going to be joining us. We have a quick little video from our friend Eric Karen. Eric, he's out there in Uganda right now. And let me tell you about it. He's our special liaison. He's a former U.S. diplomat, former special agent with Homeland Security. He conducted and managed all these covert operations worldwide regarding national and transnational crime and dealing with national security. He's held all kinds of positions with the federal government, including Interpol. And in fact, his accomplishments have been highlighted by the media around the world. And he was awarded a great significant award for the United States Attorney General for his endeavors in furthering the interests of U.S. national security. He's got a book out called Switched On. It's so great. It's the heart and mind of a special agent. And it tells how you kind of change your life. And it points out what he's accomplished in his own life. And in fact, even dealing with PTSD. I want you to take a chance and check his site out. It's called switchedonlife.com. Let me repeat that, switchedonlife.com. Read the book, you won't put it down. And here's my friend, Eric Karen, our special liaison, with a special little video.
Hey Voices, it's Eric Karen. It's great to be back with you. I've spent my life identifying and dismantling organized crime groups here in America and throughout the world, involved in drug smuggling and child pornography and human trafficking. In this regard, these last 5 months, I've traveled to East Africa. Hey Voices, it's Eric Karen. It's great to be back with you. I've spent my life identifying and dismantling organized crime groups here in America and throughout the world, involved in drug smuggling and child pornography and human trafficking. In this regard, these last 5 months, I've traveled to East Africa and shared best practices with Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenyan officials. While on the ground, I heard the horrific stories that are ongoing relating to the harvesting of human organs, as well as the kidnapping of children for sexual exploitation and actually for their blood. This has to stop. We must understand we are only as strong as our weakest link or country. We must all work together to stem this horrific crime of human trafficking, of modern day slavery, both here in America and throughout the world. I want to recognize Andi and for all the work that she does, day in and day out. She speaks for those who cannot. So I want to thank Andi for the opportunity to serve with you and others. I wish you all the best this summer and please stay switched on.
Thank you, Eric Karen, one of our great, great, strong allies and out there in the good fight. I have been waiting to introduce this next guest because, as many of you know, I'm a Texan and was affected like so many around the country and the world of what happened in Uvalde, Texas. Broke my heart, still upset by it. And sometimes we feel unempowered. We don't know how we can make a difference. And many of us have experienced critical situations. What do we need to know? So consequently, it's an honor to be able to introduce you to Brian Searcy. He is the president of the Paratus Group. His vision for the Paratus Group is to redefine how safety is learned, to make schools, churches, workplaces, and communities as safe as possible. His unique experience and expertise with the help of the Paratus Group have revolutionized how situational awareness is trained and learned, allowing the opportunity for every single member of our communities, the first responders, those of you who are there, to teach them how to be prepared to survive. This is critical to understanding and what left a bang means and how the learning of situational awareness empowers you to prevent incidents from happening, ensuring that you and your family are not victims. The situational awareness mindset and behaviors that are developed allows critical situations and decisions to be made in the complex dynamic of the home, school, churches, the workplace, and our communities to make us all safer. We don't know when a crisis is going to occur, but it sure will make a difference if we have this powerful information. And Brian Searcy, I cannot wait to have you share your insight and your experience.
Well, thank you for that amazing introduction. And I want to just thank everybody for this opportunity. Number one. Number two, I don't need to now go into any detail about how tragic human trafficking is and all the things that are happening in our communities, how bad it is, and the fact that we need to make a change. You know, if you look at the statistics over the last 8 years, human trafficking across the globe has more than tripled as a criminal enterprise. And here in the United States, it's terrible and scary as to how bad it is. You know, I've seen depictions of the human trafficking cycle where you've got the victim, you've got the sex trafficker, and you've got the buyer. And there's a lot of great organizations that work on rescuing the kids, getting the kids, boys and girls, the help that they need when and if they are rescued. There's a lot of great organizations that are trying to stop the predators, but very few are doing education about the buyers that are out there. And then very few are actually working to empower how you go about empowering and ensuring parents and the kids not only know about human trafficking and some of the ideations, but have the ability to develop habits, behaviors, and a mindset by practicing a process to actually do something about it. You know, Jeff had some great comments, and I loved how he really focused on the parents. And that's what we talk about in all of our programs. They're for parents, high school students, middle school students, and the unique difference, so that we're not following Einstein's definition of doing the same thing over and over again that we've been doing for the last 30 years when it comes to human trafficking, is having a program that empowers people, first off, to know what situational awareness is. The scary thing, according to the Harvard Business Review, is that less than 1 in 7 people actually have situational awareness today. So we need to educate them on what that is. Secondly, we need to educate them about all the threats. We've talked, and there have been numerous examples on the conversations today about kids and how they become victims today. They are depressed, they're lonely, they've got the predators online that have a very easy opportunity to reach out to them. Here in North Texas, just in the last 4 weeks, we've had 2 potential one human trafficking event that had a happy ending, and then one that was able to be defeated. 5 weeks ago, a girl was kidnapped at a Dallas Mavericks game. She was entered into the human trafficking trade. Her parents hired a private detective that did research, found out where she was, turned it over to law enforcement, and fortunately, she was rescued. And just last week at an affluent outdoor shopping mall here in North Texas, a 17-year-old who was walking up to her car on her phone, not paying attention, didn't see the 2 men that were standing right in front of her car, They grabbed her, tried to kidnap her. Fortunately, she fought back long enough that other bystanders were able to start yelling and say a few things. So she was not a victim in this case. So how do we have to change things? Traditional training, like Jeff talked about, and what we see out there has been going on for over 30 years, yet human trafficking, slavery across the world is getting worse. What we need to do is not only provide education and information to the parents and the kids, we have to ensure that they have the opportunity to develop the habits, the behaviors, and the mindset by a process that we've developed, something that they practice all the time, everywhere they go, so that they have the ability to prevent, and as you talked about, left of bang, the bad thing from happening. The ultimate goal to solve human trafficking is to keep kids, boys and girls, young adults from being victims. To do that, we have to empower them with the ability, like Jeff talked about, to pay attention to what's going on around them, know what normal is, but then trust that hair on the back of the neck, trust that gut feeling, and then do something about it. Not be walking to their car on their phone, not be not paying attention. So what does that take? Well, it takes a little bit of work on behalf of parents and our middle school kids and our high school kids. We can't, like I said, do this traditional training anymore. In a week, people forget about it and they're not empowered to do anything. So we put together a micro e-learning program that goes on for a year long. The first 90 days, it's micro e-learning that's 4 minutes a day, where we're reinforcing what is situational awareness, what are the threats, what are the 10 critical personal skills that you need, and then what is this process that you use to practice. Then over that 90 days, we are reinforcing the practicing of that process so that they develop their own situational awareness. And that's an important foot stomper right there. It's not what I tell somebody to do, it's what they're capable of doing based on them developing their own process. All too often, an expert like myself or Jeff will come in, and I know Jeff doesn't do this, but we've both seen people that do this, and they'll go tell 13, 14-year-old girls that if something like this happens, this is what you're supposed to do. The problem with that scenario is that if they're not able to do that, then they're paralyzed and they're not able to do anything. So they have to figure out for themselves how they are going to react. So in that 90 days, because it takes 90 days to establish that new behavior, at the end of that 90 days, they're paying attention to what's going on. What we found when parents learn this critical skill and we teach them, like Jeff talked about, through learning opportunities to convey that to their kids, whether it's playing games or there's learning opportunities when they're out at the grocery store or the restaurant, their kids learn this critical skill, and that's how they become prepared to not be victims. So I love what this organization is doing. Matter of fact, I love what everybody that has spoken today is doing. And it's going to take all of us to solve this problem. It's not something that we'll fix overnight. Like I said, it's been getting worse for the last 15, 20 years. We've got to stop its growth, and then we have to start the downward trend so we can keep our kids, our boys and girls, young adults, from being in this, being victims in this tragic criminal enterprise that goes on around the world. So again, thank you very much. I'm actually looking forward to collaborating with many of you. And I think I'm just blessed that Andi asked me to be on today, because I got a chance, like I said, to meet some great people. And I think working together, holistic solutions is how we're going to solve the problem. Thanks again.
We are looking forward to you becoming an active charter member of our Voices Against Trafficking and sending us a link so that we can make sure that we can help to empower all these young people. Jeff is so great with that, but we're counting on you too, because at this point, we're trying to fight 21st century slavery, and we want to be the Underground Railroad that becomes the active voices to stop it. And Andi, I think we have something that we're going to add on here. So let's show them a little video real quick.
Hi, I'm Andi Buerger, founder and chair of Voices Against Trafficking. Voices Against Trafficking is a collective voice for the voiceless, the men, the women, and the children who are exploited for labor, for sexual activities by people who don't care about their human rights. Today we have a great program with powerful speakers who are going to help educate, hopefully inspire you to action, but also create a greater awareness so that more and more of us will stand up together, will expect more out of our leaders and legislators, and will want to participate in the solution instead of the problem. Sometimes by doing nothing, that's as culpable as actually committing the crime. And I know all about that. I was sex trafficked for 17 years, from 6 months old to 17 years old, by immediate and extended family members, before there ever was a term for human trafficking. So not only is it personal to me, it's very personal to the ones that are hoping and praying that someone out there will help them, will hear them, will rescue them, and then help get them healing and hope. Thank you for your time and your attention. We're going to get started. And remember, voicesagainsttrafficking.com is the site to go to for helplines, hotlines, and other information. Again, voicesagainsttrafficking.com.
Program. And you know what's fun about doing a Zoom call? We're a little bit turning it all around because I think that we have found Chris Meek. Now, Mr. Meek, I've been holding onto your book, hoping that you're going to join us, who is the host of Next Steps Forward. Do we have Chris Meeks there? Chris Meek? Did we get him? Did we find him? Okay. Well, you know what? The next step forward will be, we're going to track down Chris Meek. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what we're going to do with Chris is we're going to make him really pay the next time we do a conference, you see, and he'll have to give us such good extra information. You're going to be so empowered. You'll say, okay, Chris Meek, you paid your dues. And Andi, you know, I love that you did that great video, and it's now playing on wonderful locations like NTD, the NTD network, and Epoch Times. They've been so great to us.
Yes.
And it has been a wonderful conference, all with our little Zoom flaws. But the bottom line is we're trying to empower people.
Yes.
Now, I know that you're going to add some of the places that they can go to find us. Share that with our wonderful audience.
Yes, absolutely. And what a great job everyone has done. And we will definitely get Chris on the next one for sure. But I want to thank you too, Blanquita, for an amazing job of moderating. As you said, sometimes Zoom, technology, human element, you put it all together and it's just an interesting process. But what I want to tell people is, look, you're probably wondering, what can I do right now? Well, that's a great question. What you can do right now to be part of the solution is to actually go to voicesagainsttrafficking.com and click on the tab that says Add Your Voice, because there you can add your voice to our roster. We're hoping to get 1 million names by the end of summer 2023. Those names are going to help us have more leverage with members of Congress, people in your community, government offices, people in education all over the country and beyond. So we need as many voices as possible. It doesn't cost you anything. Now, for those who say, you know, I am just so impacted by what I've seen and heard today, I'd like to do a little bit more than just add my voice. Great, we would love to have you. We have membership opportunities, again, on voicesagainsttrafficking.com. Go to join us. There's a $50 lifetime membership, which helps us literally keep the internet on, whether it works or not, and a few other things. So we want to encourage you to be part of that. We also want to let you know that if you have something you need to say or you have questions, you can also contact us directly on voicesagainsttrafficking.com. That website also has a lot of tips and hotlines and helplines. We've been promoting that for a long time, so we really want you to be able to check that out. Put those phone numbers in your phone today. Be prepared. We've heard a lot about situational awareness and all the different things that we can do. So whether you're a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, an educator, a day school provider, we definitely want you to have those numbers and be prepared to help us help those who can't help themselves. And again, we have our book, and we want to make sure that you know that you can pick up this book on Amazon.com, and we definitely want you to go ahead and help support us that way. Buy one for the principal of your child's school. Buy one for the university education director. take one to a counseling office or a doctor's office. Make sure that people of influence, people where other people congregate, can see the copy, because every chapter in that book gives you a little bit more information, shares a story, provides help, provides an awareness that you need to have. Kind of consider it a handbook of sorts. So we hope that you'll go to Amazon.com, take a look at the books, and buy one for your home library and buy one for someone else's library too, because they
Well, we're
need
trying
it.
to get the Congress filled with these. So if you want
Absolutely.
to help us, and we're trying to make sure every member of Congress gets one of these, so they can get a backbone, so they can stop the grooming, to stop the predatory behavior, and start thinking with guts. All these people that you've heard of today, the ultimate one here is our wonderful founder who survived it, and she didn't quit. She went out there and made a difference. Andi's out there trying to raise money so that we can get a book to every member of Congress. We'd like him to go to every governor, every state legislator, because they have to get off the dime and start trying to stop this 21st century slavery.
Absolutely.
You know, people talk about the fact that they would have been so great back in the days of the Civil War, and let's tear down a statue. Well, there aren't statues right now that you can tear down. They're serving in office. Make them get a backbone and stop this horrible predatory behavior. I'm sorry, Andi, but you know.
Oh, no, you go, because, you know, this is so important. We want people to be passionate, because this is what we're about. We need their voice. You remember a few years ago where I had that nudge at night that said, get more voices. And well, here we are. And we have started a human rights movement, and we have been blessed with people to come alongside us. But this human rights movement is the movement to be involved in, because every human being starts with a heart. And it is the heart of that human being that we are trying to protect. And no matter what someone looks like, where they come from, what their preferences are, at the end of the day, that human deserves to have their rights protected. And we are fighting for that silent population that can't speak because they're being tortured or imprisoned or other things are happening to them. So I appreciate your passion, BQ. It's all good.
Well, we live by that saying of William Wilberforce. You may choose to look the other way, but now you can never again say that you did not know.
That's right.
As we're wrapping this up, I want to make sure that you know the phone numbers. I know Andi mentioned them for the Department of Homeland Security for suspected trafficking victims. The number is 1-866-347-2423. The National Child Abuse Hotline, right there on your screen, 800-422-4453. We want you to become a lifetime member, because that'll mean you have a really extra long life. It's kind of a good token. And we want to thank our fabulous speakers, all of you who are out there on the ground making a difference. Our charter media members, guys like Chris Meek, he's going to be here next time. I swear, I'm tracking him down. The charter Voices Against Trafficking members, our great special liaison, Eric Karen, the production team, Hand in Hand Productions, and all of you, our great attendees worldwide. You have a heart and a soul and a conscience, and you want to make a difference for the good. Well, the time is now. We're combating a lot of evil in this world, and people would like us to be chicken, but we're not chicken. Andi talks about having heart. Well, we also have to have guts.
Yep.
We want to thank the Epic Times. They have really, Epic Times, NTD, they are truth and news, and they have been very dedicated to us, and we are very grateful to them. One of the things that we talk about, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It's the only group, the only thing that has ever worked. Andi, you want to wrap it up, my friend?
Absolutely. Remember that when we combine our voices together, we are a collective group. We will have one powerful voice against this evil of human trafficking. And it is you that will make a difference today in somebody's life. So thank you for taking your time. Thank you for being with us. If you have friends that maybe have missed us, they can look for us on YouTube. And again, God bless, be safe, be well, and we'll see you September 28th for another phenomenal program. Oh my gosh. Actually, these we've only done 6. Yeah.
Great job, team. Blanquita, you did fantastic.
Phenomenal, phenomenal.